Hello and welcome to another lesson on Microsoft Excel basics. My name is John Upanupo. Today, we are going to look at how to calculate the positions of your students using Microsoft Excel. Now, if you were to do this manually, we'll have to calculate each student's total, the total scores the person has. We also have to calculate average, which has to do with calculating the total score divided by the number of subjects. And then manually, we look for their positions, which may take us so many hours to do that, especially like in my own case here, where I have about 150 students who start for a certain exams. I've populated these fields here with fictitious figures and fictitious names. I made it 150 so that you will be able to know, to see the power of using Microsoft Excel. So let's get started. The first thing we have to calculate here is the total score for each student. As we all know, once we've calculated the total score for the first candidate, we are going to copy it down to the remaining students, and each of them will be calculated. So the first thing we have to do is go to the first person's row, which in my case here is row 4 under Aaron Ellis. Click the cell next to total and then type equal to. Once you've typed equal to, start typing sum. As you type sum, you will see sum appear there as a suggestion. Press your tab key. Now they'll ask you number 1, number 2. Take your cursor to the first cell after the first person's name, which is here. I have 41 under mathematics. Highlight it horizontally. Make sure you don't highlight it don't highlight other cells. Just highlight only the scores of that first person. Highlight it, close the bracket, and press enter. Now, if you look at this now, we have been able to calculate this total scores for this person here. And the total score is 468. Let's look at it now. If I double click it or press F2, I will see my formula. From what I have here, equal sum. Sum is a function that helps to calculate total. And then C4 to J4 is referencing the cells that contain those values. So anywhere you have from C4 to J4 is going to calculate the sum. So that is that. So now, since we have calculated the total for the first person, we are going to calculate the total number of scores for all of them. So we don't need to do this same thing over and over. Ordinarily, we would have just come here equal to sum and then highlight from cell what's this cell? Cell C5 to K5. But we are not going to do that. All we need to do, come to this first cell that we have calculated. Look below that cell, you will see a shaded green box. Just double click it. Once you double click it, it's going to calculate it for all of the candidates. Okay, my format here is in text. Let me change it. I'll press Ctrl+1. Go under number. For this one, the decimal places, I'll just put 0 and press enter. Now, for average, you are still going to do the same thing. Go back to the first person, or let me just show you what we have here. See the last person here. We have sum. You can see it's referencing it. It did not reference the first person. The last person is relatively referencing the scores that concerns him. So that's where we have That's what we talked about, relative cell reference. And if you have not watched my video on relative cell reference, please try and watch it. It will give you a clue to what I am doing right here. The next one is average. Some schools use average, some schools use total. But in this, for the purpose of this lesson, we are going to use the average of each student to determine their various positions. So put equal to on that Aaron Ellis row, type average. As soon as you start typing average, you'll see a list of functions suggested to you. Just press your down arrow to the function you want to use. In this case, I am using average. Press my tab key. Now, I'm still going to highlight the scores of Aaron Ellis, which happens to be the first person in this score sheet. So I'll highlight it carefully, that row 4 in this case, highlight it carefully. Make sure your cursor does not highlight any other thing from the score in maths to the score in history. Now, do not add total. Do not highlight up to where you have total, because if you highlight it, it's going to add this as part of the scores and calculate the average. So all you need to do, highlight from, in this case, highlight from cell C4 to cell K4. If you have a different worksheet, you are going to work based on what you have right there. Press, okay, enter, just put your bracket close and press enter. So you can see right here that I have calculated it. So it has given me the average of Aaron Ellis. What will I do? Just like I did in the first place, I will look at this box. Look at this box carefully. You will see a green shaded box below this cell. Just go there and double click it. 1, 2. You see it has calculated an average for us. So I do not want this to be in so many decimal places. So what I will need to do, I'll press Ctrl+1 under number, click on number of decimal places. I'll just choose 2 and click OK. So those are the number of decimal places I need. So now we're going to work on our rank. Remember, I said if you've not understood anything here, it is better to start with cell referencing, especially relative cell reference and absolute cell reference. Let's come down here. This is under average. This is the last person. You can see it is also calculating to show that we are in line. It is calculating the last person's average scores here. Let's move over to the top. My laptop is slowing down a bit. Okay, let's move over to the top here. So if we want to calculate the position of each student, we have to use another function called rank function. So we put equal to sign here and type rank. And immediately you start typing rank, you will see a number of suggestions. You see suggestion, just scroll down, or not scroll, use your arrow key to where you have rank and press tab. Once you press tab, they have criteria for you to follow in order for your positions to be correct. The first thing is number. So we are going to select the first person here. After that, the first person's average here, that's what we're going to select. So we are selecting cell M4. After that, type a comma there. You see it has moved from it has stopped highlighting the number and moved to ref. So we are going to reference again, then carefully highlight from that M4, scroll it down to the last person here, the last person, which is the number 150. Then we've highlighted that one. Now, there's something tricky about this. If you leave it like this blank, it's going to be a relative cell reference. put comma, and put 0. If we leave it blank like this, it's not going to give us a correct value. So what we are going to do is, under this M4, not the first M4, the second M4 here, we're going to lock it so that it doesn't move. If we don't lock it, it's going to give us a wrong value. So we want to lock it to keep it within the cells that have those averages. If we leave it to move relatively, it will be shifting. It will be shifting, and as it shifts, you have so many people having 1, you have so many people having 2, you have so many people having 3. We don't want it that way. So move your cursor to the second M4 that has column after it, and press your F4. So once we've pressed our F4, we've locked both the row and the column. We've made it that don't move from cell M4 to any other cell. And then we come under where we have M53 here, which is the last cell containing the last person's average, and also press F4. So by doing so, we have locked it. We do not want it to move relatively. We do not want it to be shifting. If we do not lock these two parts here, these two references here, or this that tells us calculate from here to from the first to the last, it's going to be shifting, and our answer will not be correct. So having done that, press enter. So you can see the first person here, his position is 114. So after that, just as usual, we've done for the first person, we are going to repeat the same process. Instead of repeating the same process, we are just going to copy it down. And remember, once you copy a cell that contains a formula, the other cell will follow suit and work according to the formula, not according to the output. So take your cursor to where you have that shaded box below that 114 and double click it. So you can see it has automatically calculated their various positions. So now let's go to the last person here and see the reference and what it is. Now, let's come to, sorry, I think I made a mistake. Let me double click it here. So if I click it, you can see the reference moving from that top to this bottom here, and it has not shifted. We can see the relative position of the other person there. And we can see that it's moving from cell M4 to cell M153. If we had not done that, it would have been shifting, which will give us a wrong value. I hope that's understood. If you have any question, please leave it below the comment section. Let's assume we want to analyze the various positions in ascending order. We can just come here under data, or rather, let's just click here. I will click on name here, come under data, click sort. They are going to ask me, sorry, not that one here. Let me select this serial number. Click sort. I do not want column. Okay, let me just click total here and see what it's going to give me. Column A, B, C, D. That's not what I want. Okay, let me just use column A. For instance, in this case, why it's doing that is because I've meshed some of the cells. So it's not giving me, it's not picking up that serial number there. So I'll choose column A here, smallest to largest. Yes. Once I click that, you see, to do this, all mesh cells need to be the same size. So let's leave that for now. I will sort that. I wanted to sort this so that you will see what we are doing. But for the purpose of this lessons, we have come to the end. If you look down here, you will see this person, Elijah King, is having, he took position 2. You can see position 4. Let's look for the person that has position 1 here. Okay, you can see him. What's his name? Yes, Eric Parrish took position 1. So that's that. I do not want to waste my time adjusting this width. For me to be able to sort this data so that the person who took first starts from the first row here, I'll have to adjust all these cells to make sure they are all having the same width. So I do not have time to do that. And then another thing is for you to be able to make it have like your first, instead of just number, to have something like 1ST, 2ND, you need another programming to do that, which is not found basically in Microsoft Excel. We have to use something else. I will treat that in a future lesson. I hope this makes a lot of sense, and do have a lovely day.